So you know exactly what you want. When you even think about it, it seems so real. It seems so amazing that being that ideal version of yourself would feel so fulfilling within you. And it would bring about such great good to the world around you as well. I'm sure you feel it. You feel it to the point that it seems so real. Yet, why can't you act on it? Why can't you move towards it then? I know because I've been there. I used to think that I need the most perfect plan, a foolproof plan that's going to guarantee me that this is not going to fail at all. I'm not going to make a fool of myself. And I used to think that people around me need to believe in the same vision, that people around me either need to think that that's the ideal version of life, or they need to see that how I can get to that part of life. And if someone was not so sure if that is the ideal thing to do, I used to doubt myself. But here's the thing, for everyone, the ideal version of themselves, their version of perfection is going to be different because you are absolutely unique. The essence of your nature, of your being, is so absolutely unique that when you fully flourish into your true potential, it is going to be something that is so damn unique. And that same perfection is going to reflect in other people differently. That is why they're not going to have the same version of the ideal reality as yourself. That does not mean that your highest version of yourself is untrue, or there is even a slight bit of doubt of it existing or coming to be true. And this self-doubt that you continue to feel within yourself, that is not intuition. That narration of self-doubt that you have inside your head, that is just memory. And memory only speaks from what it already knows. It can only be sure about things that have already happened. Yes, that same memory combined with our imaginative thinking can imagine an ideal future based on what it knows, but it cannot be sure about it because the brain knows that it's imagination. It's only sure about what has already transpired. And that is what gives you the logic that why it's so hard to get there, or why you might not be able to get there, or why maybe you don't have enough talent or enough resources or enough support in your life, enough strength in your life to truly get there. But it's just memory, and it's what you already know. What you already know cannot tell you what you're going to know, what you're going to achieve. And you can do a simple experiment for it. If I ask you what is going to be your next thought, you wouldn't know. But whenever that next thought comes, it's going to sound familiar because you will see that the brain has its own pattern, and it's not truly impossible to guess your next thought, because if you pay attention to your thoughts, you will see that they operate in a pattern, and basically the same thoughts keep repeating in a cyclic manner. So if you know the bigger domains of the types of thoughts that you have, it's not impossible to know what your next thought is going to be, because you know how your brain works, what kind of domain of thoughts that you have, what's the pattern over there. But what I want to point out is that it's not going to be a brand new thought. When you try to examine the next thought that you're going to have, it's not going to be a thought, something that you've never thought about before. It's going to be within that same pattern that you think in. And that is why when this memory speaks to us inside our head as our narrator, it's not sure of what we can truly achieve, because it's only sure of what has already transpired and what it has already experienced. And that's not intuition. Just because that voice is familiar to us, and just because that voice speaks to us all day long, doesn't mean that that's intuition, or doesn't mean that that's true. At the end of the day, you have to understand that God loves you the same way as He loves everybody. God loves everybody the same way. And the ground of your being is truly divine. It is the same ground of being, the same ground of existence as with everything else that is beautiful, magnificent, majestic, and great in this world. You have that same ground of being. We all share that same ground of being. So what your future is going to be, what your perfection is going to look like, how much potential you're going to have, and what potential you're going to bring forth into reality, those possibilities are just immense. And yes, if you do not examine it, or don't pay attention to it, or don't consider it of value, don't chase it with obsession, your life is going to reflect whatever limiting beliefs you had, whatever past experiences you had, whatever people conditioned you about what life was and what you were. But the brain, your understanding of this world and the reality of this world is very plastic. It's very malleable. Your perception about yourself and about this world is very liquid. It can be put into any container of any shape, of any color, and it's going to start looking different. So you want to examine what your beliefs are currently and what shape they are giving to your life and your future, and to truly understand that you have complete potential to reach your perfection, to reach absolute perfection in your life, to bring forth anything that you can imagine and that is possible within the laws of the universe.